Alrighty. Well, the story of hempwood runs parallel to the story of humanity because each of us are affected by health and all of us are affected by climate change. That's every single person in this room. So what we do at Hempwood in Murray, Kentucky, is we take the most sustainable, fastest growing crop on land that sequesters carbon faster than any other land plant. We bond this together with a soy protein glue that is upcycled from the food industry. We press it under 3,000 tons of pressure, making 6x6 logs that are then baked in an oven and turn it into a monolithic piece of lumber. We power this mill by our waste hemp. We grind it up, we then burn it in a bioburner, and it spits out biochar, which is used as a fertilizer to complete the circle for growing our hemp the following year. In addition to this, we sell our sawdust and our sand dust to an Oneonta, New York company that makes every piece of hemp plastic in the United States because the formulation only works by using our sawdust. We do this in 2 facilities. We have 24 employees. We have doubled our revenue and our output every year, decreasing our cost of goods with automation an average of 20% every year. So what is the problem that we're solving here? People are getting sick from their homes. Everybody remembers that train that crashed in East Palestine, Ohio last year? What the news didn't tell you was this train was full of vinyl chloride going to a vinyl flooring mill in New Jersey. Vinyl flooring accounts for 60% of all flooring sales in the last 5 years. And vinyl chloride was originally developed for gas warfare in World War I. So the real question is, why aren't we using natural materials inside of our homes? And the solution we have, which is our customer value, is a no VOC, plant-based building material that actually causes us to have a higher cognitive ability because you're breathing cleaner air inside of your homes, inside of your classrooms, and inside of your offices. And NIH and Harvard have been doing studies for 10 years that show that you have higher cognitive ability, higher productivity, and higher test results when not using dirty chemicals in your house, like formaldehyde, like asbestos, like lead paint. Everybody remembers these things, but not everybody knows they're still in your home. And the kicker to this, we are certified carbon negative because we use our waste as our energy, and we built the factory next to Kentucky Dam. I'm not from Kentucky. I was living in China where we were doing bamboo flooring. We built 53 mills. We had the most sustainable flooring on the market, but I developed respiratory conditions because we were dealing with formaldehyde. So we came up with the solution of soy glue. Some of our customers, since we've been in the market for over 4 years, the Hubbards, residential customer in Nashville, Kentucky, did their install this past summer. They just had grandchildren, they're building their forever home, and they don't want their kids to have respiratory issues like asthma because they have dirty chemicals in their home. Greenwood High School in Bowling Green, Kentucky, the first net zero public school in the United States, chose Hempwood instead of having to rip out the old asbestos tiles that were in there when they were reconfiguring it to be net zero. We came up with a method of encapsulating and then putting on top of that, and they're reporting 6.4% higher test scores from having Hempwood in their classrooms. We've been on HGTV with Christina Hall. She bought our carbon credits from 2021, which we'll get into later. BMW has rolled out their electric vehicle line, putting Hempwood as the floor, as you see in the photo, that they park their cars on top of, showing the durability of it. And Chipotle just did their 4th store with Hempwood, And they've pledged to do 100 stores that are net zero and use only electricity, which we're vying for that right now. The team is consisted of myself, an 8-time entrepreneur, engineer, farmer, and I do have an MBA. My wife, who founded this with me, came back from China where we were doing bamboo flooring with the same algorithm that we wrote using the Fibonacci sequence. Now we live on an organic farm in West Kentucky. Tommy, Matt, and Korn were interns from Murray State University in 2018 and 2019, and now they're in charge of 10 people at each mill, and Korn is in charge of $5 million worth of equipment. Everybody that you see in our team is an owner in the company, not just an employee. So our agricultural innovation that we're talking about here, we don't use just one plant, we use two. We're growing hemp and sequestering carbon from the air. We're using soy that is upcycled from the food industry to bond this together. We have the only carbon-negative flooring and building material on the market, and this is certified, and we'll get into that later. We have 2 patents across multiple continents. We have 3 trademarks in the United States, 2 in Canada, 2 in Europe. We've been working with a variety of universities, Oregon State University, Murray State University, Cargill supports us, and Larry Smart at Cornell has been helping us because he is the dean of hemp now. The business model is simple. We have 3 buckets. Farming, all within 100 miles of our mill. 2 flooring mills, or 2 factories, 1 lumber, 1 flooring. And then our sales and marketing, which brings it out to everyone. We have our LCA, our EPD, and our USDA BioPreferred certification. The market strategy is healthy materials for residential because that is tangible. The commercial goes after carbon negative for the 2030 carbon pledges. And the federal government has an executive order that they must keep track of all USDA BioPreferred products. Currently, we are making our first patented product, which is Hempwood lumber, flooring, and paneling. It is a face-grade hardwood replacement. Our second patent is for structural hempwood, which we are working on now with Oregon State and Washington State University, sponsored by the USDA, which I saw a couple of folks here, and that is through the soybean checkoff program, because we're replacing petroleum with soy. The growth speaks for itself. We have doubled every single year in revenue and output, despite all the problems that we've had for the last couple of years, to address the $14 billion a year TAM in the United States for our flooring, lumber, and paneling. Once we get into the structural, that's 5 times larger. That's a whole nother can of worms. And we do have a licensing program overseas, which we have signed 2 licenses, 1 in Poland, 1 in Romania, to begin setting up these facilities. Our projections follow the same model, but as you can see, our gross margins and then our bottom line actually improve as we scale. The automation is absolutely required. We do have plans for our Hempwood facility on the East Coast, we call Hempwood East. We have Hempwood West that we're working towards in Oregon to produce flooring, structural lumber, and decking, and then our licensing outside of the United States. So what does this mean for the Grow New York region? It means in the first year, we would set up at the Cornell Ag Tech Park, where we would develop the market because there's no point in building another factory until the demand is regionally here. We would set up the second year in Geneva is where we're targeting at the can factory because it's in a special economic zone. So I can leverage the $1 million from this contest to be able to get my new market tax credits, which are forgivable. Then I only have to raise 20% of the $10 million needed to set up the facility with equity. So I'm not diluting my current shareholders. Then the idea would be in year 3, we're going to set up Hempwood East in the region once the raw material is secured, once the investment is secured, and the market has been developed in this area. To date, you can see what we've done in Kentucky. We have 24 employees, 57 indirect, mainly farmers like myself and my wife. We receive grants. We have revenue of $1.67 million this year to date. We're hoping for $2 million, but it's probably going to end up more like 1.8. We've had investments, and we do plan on exiting this company to a degree where we have had significant offers to date, but it's not the right time.
Great job.